This is George Cedino, Latoya Wall, and her son Landon Moss. Today's date is Saturday, September 6, 2014. It is 8 p.m. We are currently in front of Latoya's home, conducting an interview regarding the arrest of two of Latoya's children after defending themselves against bullies from the local high school Liberty. I would like to first report on the story of Latoya's two children on the date of September 2nd. On Tuesday, September 2nd, 2014, two middle school students from Northeast Middle School, Bethehem, PA, 11-year-old Landon D. Moss, a 6th grader, and 13-year-old Chardonet Benitez, an 8th grader, are facing charges of assault and detention over acts of self-defense. Chardonet, from the community of Penbroke Projects in Bethlehem, has for a long period been bullied by local neighborhood teens from Liberty High School. Their mother, Latoya Wall, had sought help from Northeast Middle School, but they'd offered services that never granted her child's safety. Long had they sought for assistance, but the school was never truly compliant. That morning, Chardonet walked Landon early to school for breakfast, and there was a confrontation along the way. Chardonet tackled a girl into the steps, and Landon kicked the girl in the head. The girl suffered a concussion. Landon did not want to go to school that day and wanted his sister to be safe. He was refusing to go to school in order to protect her in the sake of both their safety. At the precinct, Latoya requested both her children to be released. Landon was immediately released, but Chardonet was sent to the Northampton Juvenile Detention in Easton, PA, where she remains. The school failed to provide a safe environment for their children. All this conflict could have been resolved by the Bethehem area school district, but their lack of compliance and harboring of a hostile environment created this scenario. I would like to add, to me, this conflict strikes at home to many poor communities. Issues of violence and harassment from members of it, which in popular term has been discussed as bullying. So Latoya, I would like to know how you discovered the issue of bullying affecting Chardonet Benitez.
I feel like the first year I've ever witnessed that there could be a bully situation in her life started by an adult in her life. And I feel like one of her first principals ever, Miss Sonia Vasquez, was prime example of bullying. You know, children don't only bully children, adults bully children at times when they're in a position of power. So that's when I felt that it started affecting my daughter's life. She started coming home crying every afternoon for one reason or another about someone, an adult woman, you know, calling her chubby or calling her fat or asking her if she's eating too much, or, you know, that's her first form of bullying that I've ever witnessed.
Now, regarding the teenagers that were harassing her, who were bullying her, like, when did this all begin?
This began the first year I moved to Penbroke. The very first year. It started in 6th grade. Her grades were up to par, even though every day she would have to worry about somebody new coming up to her and starting a fight. In 6th grade, it was Northeast children. That's when that started. And, you know, 3 fights in 2 nights, coming home from school, having to fight somebody and coming home sore, you know, having to go to school and be active at school, get your good grades, and then have to worry about who wants to fight you next the next time you walk home from school. This is what she looked forward to that year, and she still progressed and had decent grades under that pressure.
And this, I'm guessing, occurred a lot of time, like frequent.
Oh, very frequently. Very frequently.
Well, it's the usual kids too?
Various kids. I can't even count on both my hands, how many people Chardonet has been involved with in this one neighborhood. When she fell off around 7th grade in her behavior because she felt like, well, if I can't beat them, join them. That's the only way they're not going to pick on me or push me around or want to fight me.
Alright, so what was your reaction? How did you handle the situation to prevent the bullying?
Well, in the beginning, I did what any parent would do. I would listen to my daughter's problems, and then I would call, Miss Salin of Northeast. I would call one of her counselors, or maybe the assistant principal at the time, and I would talk to them about it. In the beginning, discussions were pleasant and civil, but you could tell, even in 6th grade, like it bothered them that I cared so much about what was going on to her, and they would always say that there's nothing they can do about the situation, or the bullying for that matter. She's gotten shoved down half a flight of steps in Northeast. I didn't get a phone call. I didn't get one phone call. I found this out when my daughter came home. A week later, she gets into a fight with the same girl after school, and her mom catches her, puts her in a car, and beats her butt for it. So, as far as I'm concerned, all they tried to do was make her into something that she's not and frustrate her because she had no one to help her. Make her feel safe in this scenario. To school, from school, summer vacations, their front door, back door, acting, batting their eyes at the mother like they're sweet little kids and, wanting to fight her. I can't count how many children is involved. It's the whole neighborhood.
Did you also reach out to the school district or any of the other schools around here, like Liberty and aside from Northeast?
Nothing aside from Northeast, because at this point I trust no one in either one of those two offices. They haven't done anything up until now from the time she entered that school to make her feel safe or help her on the right road to educate her. They haven't done anything for her. So at the end of the day, if you're a poor black mother in the middle of a neighborhood like this, you're right along with the fishbowl of other poor people. They don't care about you, they don't care about your kids, and they don't care how they treat them either.
Alright. How responsive were the schools and the district? How did they handle these matters?
The way they handled them is various ways. They would advise me to open up a Valley Youth case. I did such. Somebody in the office opened up a children and youth case. I did such. I complied with everything they wanted me to do. Tried to take counseling with me and her. Valley Youth Shelter. If she were to run away, I would consistently call the police and report her a runaway and have her escorted right back. There were these same bully children in her life trying to pretend to be her friend and let her sleep over. They're aiding and abetting a runaway. Nobody was smart enough, even the parents involved weren't smart enough to offer up a phone number, ask someone for a phone number. Where's your mother? Who is your guardian? Who watches over you? Give me her phone number. I want to talk to her. You would rather believe a 13-year-old when she says, Mommy, and I got into a fight. Can I stay here? I have nowhere to go. She's supposed to be in Valley Youth. Nobody did anything. The caseworkers, counselors, everybody involved made me put in the work to find my daughter and have her escorted by the police back. If I knew that it was going to mess up her life and make it worse, I wouldn't have been involved. I would have handled this situation myself accordingly.
Alright. I am aware that Northeast Middle School is involved with the PA CARES Bullying Prevention Program, which stands for creating an atmosphere of respect and environmental success. what was their involvement, if any, and did Northeast Middle School go by their standards?
This is the first I've ever heard about this. Number one. Number two,
I just did research about this too.
This is the first I've ever heard. Number one. Number two, they do nothing about the bullies because they are literally tagging you with a certain name once they find out you're from this neighborhood. You are certainly a troublemaker. They're scared of these kids. A lot of the people in their own communities are scared of these new age kids. They do nothing. I'll tell you what they do. They put no bullying signs up in their windows in the schools. That's what they do. That's what they do. I want to see the statutes of this program. I want to see what it is that they do and to what extent they go to make these children feel like they're safe going to and from school. I mean, busing would help.
Alright. So, how was the overall performance of your daughter in school throughout this experience?
Oh, man. We've been on roller coasters. Roller coasters. Things are good sometimes, things are bad sometimes, but mainly her life is flipped upside down. This time last year in 2013, I almost got assaulted by a kid with a chef knife in the playground because I wanted him to go get his mother so we can discuss like adults why this kid, 15 years old, and he looks like an 18-year-old football player. Why are you anywhere near my middle school child if you go to Liberty High School? Once again, he was Liberty High School. Did I press charges? No, I didn't, because I don't want the blood of somebody else's child on my hands. Did they subpoena me? Yes, they did, maybe twice or 3 times. And I wasn't accepting it because I want safety for my family and myself. This kid almost assaulted me. I'm sure the police have that in their computers too. You know? And this was, once again, over my daughter. You have an interest in her, you want her to be your girlfriend, she denies you. Now all of a sudden she's a bitch and you want to make sure she knows that every single day. Until we get into a confrontation, all because you don't want to translate to your mother exactly what's going on right now. Because you've been bullying my kid. This is a consistent problem since we've been here. This kid turned from a wholesome kid that had issues and setbacks in her life to just consistently problematic in 1 year. Anybody with any brains will research her 6th grade, 5th grade, 4th grade grades in comparison to her 7th grade grade point average. And you'll see that this bullying is key part to her slow spiral downfall in her behavior and anything else, mental health, physical health, emotional health, everything. It's affecting us, the whole family. So I'm guessing you do feel that your social economic background kept you from accessing the necessary services for help? I sure do, because through and through, they're only looking for a situation to whereas they can break the family apart or use the family as a case study. They're studying you and your behavior, and they're studying your children's behavior. That's all they're doing. You're a case study. They're not there to help. They are not there as a solution. And this whole situation proved that. Not once did they really do anything to help the situation better. Every time they came here, every time we had visits, every time I cooperated with them, let them into my closets, cupboards, cabinets, open my whole life like a book, they were able to throw everything back at us, or everything back at Chardonet, instead of tackling the root problem, why she's behaving this way and why she's rebelling.
All right. Describe to me that morning you had discovered that your daughter was in a fight, and this is on September 2nd.
Oh man, all I know is she came back in without her brother, and I was immediately worried. And she had scratches and bruises on her like on her face and breathing heavy and everything, and she's like, I gotta take a shower, I can't be late for school. So I'm like, okay, but what's going on? What happened? I just got into a fight. It's the same girls that's always coming around the block on their bikes and talking mess. So I'm like, well, what happened? She's like, I don't have time to explain. She's like, I just need a shower. Just let me take a shower again. She's like, I'll change my clothes and I gotta go to school. I said, well, where's my son? She said, well, I made him go to school. So mind you, I'm pretty sure around the incident, I was also told that she was yelling at him before the fight even started. Because I'm pretty sure she was afraid for him. Go to school, Landon. And he's like looking at her like, I'm not leaving my sister. I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, that's what siblings do. And that's what I teach my kids.
So, when did the officers get involved, like the police get involved in this situation?
As far as I'm concerned, when she ran back out the house to go to school, the officers were involved. When I got a phone call after dropping my smallest one to Lincoln.
Okay.
That's when they got involved, because I was walking him to Lincoln. Jose Cruz, I was walking him to Lincoln. And on my way, I get a phone call first from Miss Salin, the counselor in the front office of Northeast, and then I got a phone call from the police officer. Now, mind you, I'm confused. I don't know that you're arresting my daughter. I don't even know that they have my son already. They didn't even verbally tell me on the phone that they had my son in custody. I didn't find out until I found a ride and showed up to the Church Street station that my son was being arrested as well and sent to the juvenile building in Easton.
I know on Thursday, September 4th, 2014, you went to court regarding this issue.
Right.
What was concluded, and what are the charges being imposed on both Landon and Chardonet?
As far as I'm concerned, we haven't really spoken about the case enough. It was a preliminary hearing involved. It was a preliminary hearing involved, and it was only to see if they were going to be able to basically see if she was going to be evaluated and have to stay in the juvie, or if she was going to be able to come home to me. As far as I'm concerned, his charges are simple assault. He's probably got 1 or 2 tacked on because they try to go for the worst and then get it dropped down to something smaller. Hers is assault, a level of assault, but it's all misdemeanors, and she's got way more charges tacked on to that than he does. I feel like if you were wrong and you have to pay consequences, you have to pay consequences for every action that you commit against anything and anyone in life. And I'm not saying that the girl deserved anything, but what I'm saying is somebody has a breaking point. If we've been seeing your face a lot around our side of the neighborhood, and we know that you're harassing my daughter, at some point in time you keep her cornered in her area of the neighborhood, something like this is bound to happen.
When would the next court date be?
On the 15th. And they haven't given me a time as of yet.
I would like to have a testimony of Landon Moss that morning where the fight occurred and how he felt of the situation he had no control of. You can pass that.
Well, I didn't really want to leave her or anything, so I was just trying to keep her safe and everything. So I was sticking up for her. And she was a high school student. I'm just like in 6th grade, so it doesn't really count. But to the police, it counts that. So
I hear you, man. Anything more? Alright. Back up. I know that you are afraid of losing your daughter due to this incident. I would like you to describe what is going on.
Well, as of right now, she's missing a lot of days of school. They say in the juvenile detention center, you still have schooling and testing and things like that, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, like, I honestly feel that in this case scenario, I don't care about whatever video they got. I don't care about this child's testimony. I don't care about anything. In the last court hearing, it was stated that she didn't have any medical records for this concussion, and concussion was the main thing, the main vein, other than the video that was taken into evidence. Now, if you have no medical paperwork over this concussion, should that either drop the charges or should that lessen the charges? But at the end of the day, this young girl's life is still being jeopardized every day and put in bad situations every day. Not only because her own decisions in life, but her depth of anger because of the things that she's daily going through. Our lives have been flipped upside down since we moved to this neighborhood. Our children are at stake every single day, whether it's, let's say, a shootout. Let's say it's anything bad that can go on in this neighborhood has already happened since 2012. You know, I feel like her whole future's at stake if she don't have somebody to believe in her. And she's already at her lowest of her lows right now. She's going to learn her lesson from the things that she's done wrong. But at the end of the day, I still worry about my child's future. She dealt with half a life full of people bullying her. And nobody wants to listen to her. She don't have a voice. So my concern is her overall well-being. Her voice, her spirit, everything. I want this kid to be happy, and I'm doing the best I can with what I got, and I don't have much at all. But she deserves to be happy too. A lot is at stake right now, for real.
Alright. What would you like to see happen since your daughter and son acted out of self-defense due to the negligence of Northeast Middle School?
I would like to see these charges dropped. At the end of the day, even if they're not dropped, let my daughter pay consequences for her actions because of the depth of her anger. But at the end of the day, like, I want everything to be fair, because it wasn't even fair that I couldn't turn around and press charges on you because of the fact that we've been seeing your face for the whole entire summer, stalking my daughter's house, and, you know, making fun of her with your cousins or your sisters. I don't know these people. I don't go to your block. I don't go to your address. I don't bother your parents. I don't mess with those kids. I don't verbally even speak to those children. I would like some sort of justice in this situation. That's what I want the most. My kids' happiness and some sort of justice.
Anything else you would like to add?
No.
Alright, well, thank you.
Thank you.
We are looking for justice for both Chardonet Benitez and Landon D. This confrontation encountered and resulting charges could have been avoided if the school and district stepped up to prevent the problem. We are looking for people to please share this story and help us find a good attorney at no charge to help us fight this case. We must not let this taint of the criminal justice system ruin both Landon and Chardonnet's life. We thank all for viewing and hope to hear from someone soon.
I just want to say I'm making a big deal. I'm making a light of this situation because if I don't, nobody else will. At this point, either this can happen to another little black boy, another little black and Hispanic girl. This can happen to anyone's child just for defending themselves. Whatever no tolerance policies they have, I would love to look over the policies, because these schools are not abiding by any of them to keep any of our children safe. And because you come from a bad neighborhood, you are put in a fishbowl right with the rest of them. BHA, I feel in my circumstance should be held accountable in certain ways, because I put in requests to move at least twice and my request has not been heard. There's been several violent incidences in our lives since moving here, and some of the worst that me and my children have ever encountered. So if the police, the BHA, the school system, if they're all holding hands and doing nothing about these real situations, of course it's going to be somebody else's mother, daughter, brother, sister, cousin in this situation that me and my children are now in. And I believe we are so much better than the situation that we are in right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.